Welcome to CS Radio. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 242 of CS Radio. I'm Shane DeAngelis.
And I'm Natty Leach.
Okay, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. It's been a day, Natty. It's been a day.
You've been running all over the place.
Running all over the place. We had staff meeting this morning, as we always do on Wednesdays, and then I had to jot right over to the nursing school for nursing career day.
You took your little cart?
Took my little cart. For those who don't know, I have to bring over all our technology to our career fairs so we can check students in, print name tags, and it all goes in a little grandma shopping cart.
And when you get that beautiful little name tag and go, whoa, this is fancy, it's all because of this guy.
People love the name tags, but we had a little bit of a name tag crisis this morning.
A snafu.
Could not get anything to print. Finally got one working. And so it really, it was a high stress morning. But I said I could put myself together, come over here and do a podcast.
Good, and we're glad you made it. And it's for the nursing fair, which is smaller.
It is small. I mean, if it had been any other fair, we would have been really in trouble. But thank goodness, and I said this offline. I'll say it publicly. A huge shout out to our PCA, Amanda Moore, who really got the brunt of it because she was manning the one computer that was working, and she checked in close to 100 people in about 15 minutes, and she did it all with a smile. And she's a nursing student, so a lot of them knew her.
Yeah.
It really diffused any tension. It was great.
Good. I was thinking next year will be our first year having a PCA cohort without a Moore in it. Because we had her brother in the first group, and then she's came the next group, and she's done it for 3 years. So no more siblings left for us.
What the end of an era.
Yes.
So I've been in such a rush today that when I finally got over here, I said to Natty, "What are we talking about today?"
You said, and I quote, "career services tell all."
I did. That's exactly what I said.
And that's what we're gonna do.
Let's do it. Number one, Dustin Miller. It's all no. Let's
what you never wanted to know about Dustin Miller.
So what you countered with? Well, what you said was I was thinking the same thing, but what you really meant was let's talk about some of the hot topics that have been coming up lately amongst our staff. What you're hearing from students. So let's just kind of go through our list. It'll be one of our famous grab bag episodes, and we'll just kind of give our hot takes on these hot topics.
Yeah, and some of this was because it came up at a recent staff meeting of ours, so shedding a little light into the inner workings of the fascinating conversations we have behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. First one is a really exciting program, I think, is GRIP is open right now. We're getting lots of students applying to GRIP. GRIP is the Global Research and Internship Program run through Penn Abroad or Penn Global. What's the difference? Do you know the difference? I should know the difference.
So Penn Global is the division.
Okay.
And Penn Abroad is the department.
Okay. So who does it?
I don't know.
Both?
Both. The same. It's the Penn Abroad office. It's the Penn Abroad office as part of Penn Global.
I think I was right when I said that.
Yeah, I thought.
But GRIP is a great program, especially for first and second year students. It's an awesome opportunity to consider. You could look at it's kind of a mix of being abroad for a summer where you get that great experience, but then also they pair you with something professional-ish or research-based in some sort of way. So they have different cohort and direct placement programs where you might apply to a very popular one, I believe, is Business in Sydney, for example, where you might just say, I'm interested in business roles in Australia, in Sydney specifically. And they would then find and work through, I believe they have a specific person they work through to find, here's an interesting internship that you could have while you're in there. Whereas some other ones are much more direct, where it's I'm applying to this exact company in wherever part of the world that I'm also interested in. Yeah.
And there's the reason this applies to us. I mean, there's this internship component.
Yeah.
But there's a very involved application process that requires a personal statement and is it a resume as well?
They, I believe, have to attach a resume because I've looked at plenty who said that's what they're using it for. I've looked through the application a lot because students will also give me, it's not just like one personal statement. Oftentimes it's broken in. I had one student who showed me there's 2 longer form 500-word ones and then kind of mini questions of 250 words.
Wow.
And I think there were 3 or 4 of those. So there are a lot of questions and writing involved with it.
So a lot of those come across our desk because people want our feedback. They want our PCA's feedback. And the timing this has changed fairly recently.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we were talking about it yesterday is, so in particular, they have a deadline of January 7th. However, I think like many things in the world, when we talk about deadlines, we're recommending that you apply sooner than that deadline. As of last year, I believe Penn Abroad started doing it more. Once they get a mass of applications to a program, they might close that if they get, I think it's either 40 or 45 for some of the bigger ones and 20 or 25 for some of the smaller ones. So it's advantageous to get it in sooner rather than later, so you make sure the application doesn't close. Honestly, that is how the world works in so many other different ways. I think it's a good practice to be under that understanding. When we recommend you're applying to internships, if you see something posted relatively recently, it's usually better to aim for like within the week, submit that application and get it in there.
Wow.
So even though the deadline is January 7th, and certainly once you haven't hit that threshold, you can absolutely wait until then. It's a little hard to know which ones are. I know they mention they have a really great resource on the Penn Abroad website that is a on-demand version. They've been doing workshops all week and info sessions here in our building on the 2nd floor, talking about all of the full rundown of what to prepare for GRIP. But they have that recorded and available on their website. So if you want to get more information on that, that's a great place to go. Because there's this deadline, we've also told students or going to be telling students soon, this might be breaking news. If you want us to review documents, best way is to make an appointment with us. That's usually the fastest that you can have that done. If you wanted to submit it through our website, we're saying no later than December 12th, which is a Friday.
12/12.
12/12. I didn't connect that. But it works out well because then really we only as staff members, it takes us usually about a week to review things.
Yeah.
We only have 1 full week of work after that before the university closes for winter break. So that's to make sure that we can actually give you feedback before winter break comes and you have some information before that deadline comes up.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a runaway train. I know whenever it comes up, I hear students talking about it. I've been seeing people talk about it on our career services teams. I've seen the PCAs have questions. It's great that we've had a couple of PCAs go through the GRIP program so that they can offer their own personal experience.
And PCAs are a great resource for that. They we've shared information with them on what is good for GRIP programs, and like Michael just mentioned, many of them have done those programs successfully themselves, so they can offer their own insight. It's a little bit of a challenging application because it's this mix of, you do want to have the element of like a cover letter where you're talking about your skills and your background and how it's going to fit in, but you also want to be stressing like, why is this program going to be beneficial to you, or being in this part of the world, why does that stand out, and merge your interests in a unique way for you, especially in connecting that to your future goals, which it sometimes has almost a storytelling element. It's somewhere in between a more traditional cover letter for a job and like a personal statement that you may have had for college.
That's what I was thinking it sounded like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like somewhere in between those two. It's like not quite so far on the storytelling side because you still want to make sure you capture those
that
professional side, especially if it's for one of these programs that will be sending your application directly to an employer to view it. You want to make sure you're getting that across as well.
Yeah. Well, fascinating. So come see us, make an appointment, or make sure you submit through the resume queue no later than December 12th.
Yep. And GRIP's a great option for especially first and second year students because there aren't that many structured internship programs. GRIP is kind of like a structured internship program
by de facto
in a way that you could apply to, and it's one of the earlier ones to be looking at for first and second year students. The majority of first and second year students don't find anything until the middle of the spring semester, so this is on the earlier end for people in that situation. So we ready to move on to the next?
I think we've cooled that hot topic. Let's go on to the next one.
Let's see. Speaking of timing of things, well, a couple of these could be timing based. I was going to say IB and banking junior summer internships. There's a lot of conversations about those going on right now because there are some that will be opening or potentially have deadlines in as early as December.
So if you're a second-year student,
If you're a
gonna
sophomore,
be applying in December for summer 27.
Yes, for summer 2027.
Wow.
Yep. Which is, nuts. But it is what it is.
So you got to be prepared if that's what you want to do.
I think we've talked about it before. The positive is if you're sort of interested, you can test the water, see how it goes, and you can always say no. And there's a million more opportunities after these really early ones.
Yeah.
In some ways that might be better. But if you want to consider those, there are great companies and good opportunities to be looking at. I expect most of those to be in January. So a lot of students right now are asking questions and prepping for making sure they're going to be ready once those open up or have deadlines closer to January. But there are a few companies that are going to have things probably in December to keep an eye out for just in case. But that being said, I would still expect the majority of those to be somewhere between early January and early February.
What's the best way to keep abreast of those kinds of deadlines?
So we have a finance community on our website. We tag lots of stuff on there. One of the things in the career resources section of the finance community is it's called Adventus. It's a third-party organization. I believe that they sell different prep courses as part of what they do. However, they have a free resource that if you sign up, I think you just need to make it a free account. They have a really good timeline and keep updates of here when we expect the companies to have. And you can click on, there's a whole section for class of 2028 students. And it'll line everything out by the different types of employers.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It's very focused on investment banking. It's not everything, but honestly, those are the ones that recruit the earliest.
It's such a small group of employers that are doing this very early recruiting. It's in the IB sector.
And they'll tell you the specific things within IB that they focus most on, too, whether that's the different elements of finance that they'll also include, sales and trading or whatever else might be a part of that. But it's a really good resource to use because it's free, and they do a good job of keeping track of that. I always tell everyone, don't fully rely on anything. I think if you already know a few companies that you're interested in, best thing to do is to look directly at the source for their website. Every single year, it changes a little bit, even what a company did the previous year. So the best thing you can do is try to do a mix of crowdsource and see if there's resources out there like that are tagged. We have things on our own website that if you favorite employers in Handshake you already know about, it'll give you an update. If you are mentioning your career interests in Handshake, sometimes when we send messaging out about things that we notice or things going on, we'll usually target it by that.
Yeah.
I sent one out a couple months ago on Morgan Stanley had one of their early insight programs that they were recruiting for, and I sent a message to all students who were first or second year students interested in financial services was the tag that I used for that. So if we were going to send something out, it would go that way.
One other thing that I want to say about these early recruiting and making that decision a year and a half in advance is something that you've said before, which is if you do decide to go that route and you lock something in now in your sophomore year, you know what you're doing in 27. That means summer of 26 is yours to explore and do something totally different if you want.
Yeah, they literally can't actually review you as a candidate based on that because they're hiring so early that you can make it truly anything. And I think that's your opportunity to do something in marketing, work at a startup, volunteer at a nonprofit. There's so many different types of things that you could do for that summer that might help you better weigh one industry versus another. That's totally worth,
because you'll have had that experience, and then you'll go have your IB experience, and you can go, oh, this was good, this was not.
Yeah,
in both cases.
And if all goes well, you might get a return offer from that company that you're interning at for junior summer, and then it's better to have at least some grounding of how do I compare this to other things.
For sure, yeah.
And I think that summer can be really important to do that. It's really easy to get swept away by finance and to some extent consulting as well, because both of those hire so early, but there's so many other things out there. So we want you also to be able to explore those and see those too.
All right. I don't have too much else to say on that one other than it's insane. But if you choose, I think if you just go in, I think the best thing that we can do, and people do say oh, why can't, we've tried everything, a whole, We've tried talking with our
banded together
partners.
with our peers too of other schools.
Right? We took out a letter in the Wall Street Journal And everybody went, oh, yeah, we understand. And then they did it anyway.
Yeah, I think at best, like our best success was we got people to push back for one intern class, and then the other people who didn't listen to us kept doing it, and then they were like, well, why did we ever listen to anyone else if other people are going to go rogue and do what they want?
Exactly.
So it went back. There are pros and cons to it. So like I do think there's truly a pro of like these are good opportunities. It gives you a chance to look at them in a condensed fashion where you can focus in on this industry, especially if you're interested in that industry. Locking that down early can sometimes, even if it's a little bit stressful earlier on, might ease stress later on. That being said, on the con side, I think it increases stress for everyone in some ways, because what we hear all the time is the students whose friends are interested in investment banking, but they're interested in marketing, and they feel like, oh, there's no opportunities for me, but really it's just there's no opportunities right now.
So if you can just, like, if we do our jobs right, then you're going in educated, you're understanding the specifics of this timeline, the specifics of the timelines for other industries, and you can make your best decision with the information, whether or not you're going to pursue that. And if you do pursue that, then go in with the knowledge that if I do lock in something, that means I'm really like free to explore something different.
Yeah.
So
and you can always also change your mind too.
Yes.
Like
I do think that is one thing also that's changed. The employers that are recruiting this early recognize the double-edged sword of it. And so they've built in sort of the expectations some people are going to change their mind.
But also even if you go through that internship program and then realize I actually hate this, that's sometimes a really good thing.
That's a great thing.
Because then you can cross that off your list and look at other opportunities, all of which are later. So it's not like you're going to be in a position where you're behind for anyone else.
Yeah.
Because everything other than
so there are true positives.
All right. So speaking of, well, this is kind of related to the banking stuff. There are a lot of early insight programs, or like future leader or leadership programs. They have a bunch of different terms for these types of things that go on. They're usually geared towards sophomores as an entry point to these types of opportunities, especially for people who are just starting to consider them. Most of the time, they're not a full internship experience. They might just be a couple days where they set you up with a mentor.
It's like a camp.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Zip line and everything.
Well, I mean, I didn't mean that.
I know.
In a pejorative way.
No, it is like a little bit of it's almost like a boot camp, mini boot camp thing. But it's like they set you up with some mentors so that you have access to get questions answered, learn more about the industry and what the job is like. And they also will give you resources to help make you successful for future internships and applications within that space too. They're good programs. There's some that might be open now to still apply to. There are some that people applied to earlier. But the reason we were talking about this is that sometimes they might require you. Previously, when things were earlier, they used to be more over the breaks or over a summer. They've more commonly started to move those opportunities to be within the actual academic year. So obviously that's very challenging for students. And I think it brings up a point that we used to talk about a lot, but I think we kind of stopped talking about it as much because COVID made so much virtual that we had a little bit less of the in-person
like having to decide
on-site things
between going to class and going to this thing.
And so it's coming back up a little bit more because there's so many more companies now that for especially these programs or similar types of events, it could just be like an info session or a recruiting event or an interview. You might just have an interview that they ask you to come in person to their headquarters or their company.
I did hear this come up. I won't name the company because I can't remember who it was.
Good.
But I do remember there was some discussion that a big company was holding a 2-day event, and it was like a Thursday and a Friday, and it was mandatory that you attend every session. And people are like, well, I've got class.
Yeah. And in some cases, people have exams, too, during this period.
Yes, because it was just a few weeks ago, so prime midterm time. And there was a lot of questions about how do I handle that.
Yeah, and so I think the reason I bring it up in this forum is more to talk about how we would coach you through that difficult situation, because you're really faced with the idea of like, okay, I'm juggling two things that are at the exact same time. How do I balance that out? And it's kind of similar to we've talked about negotiating offers and what that looks like from your end, especially for trying to make timing work out better. There's a similar starting point there where it might actually work to reach out to first the employer and say, I have a class commitment or I have an exam that time. Is there any accommodation that can be made to help me still participate? Really excited for the opportunity. I think as long as you're expressing your appreciation and excitement for that, many employers are going to be willing to work with you. Of course, like our standpoint is your academics come first. I think a lot of times the employer's standpoint is that too. If you're going to have a final, it depends, but I mean, they want you to do well in your classes.
Yes,
they want to hire people who are doing great academically, who are the best, the smartest, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times that's why you take a test, is to help make sure that you have the material down and you're confident with it. So I think it's the better way to focus on the academics, because many times you won't be able to move that test anyway. You could ask and reach out to a professor, but by and large, faculty members are not going to shift the exam period around for a recruiting event.
No, they're absolutely not.
No.
I think
it depends on what the thing is. If it's an assignment, they might say, okay,
yes,
you
exactly.
can get into me a few days early or
an
something.
exam, I think Penn's really good about making accommodations when they're needed.
Yeah.
But I can remember, and you probably remember the tail end of this, but just because there was so much on campus recruiting, that people would be like, it would either be like, I've got one student, we'd have an advisor be like, I have one student asked to like remove every single exam they were taking, or professors going, I got 30 students who say they can't take my exam. What are you doing over there in career service?
And we get it from both angles, because we get the students saying, like, can't you make my professor let me do it later? Can't you give me a letter of excuse or something for this? And then we also get it from faculty and advising being like, what, like you said, what's going on? Why are there all these things? Recruiting can be a busy time.
And I will say, sometimes the students are like, well, can't you tell the employer I have to go to class?
Yeah, and it can be that too. I think really the best way to help with these situations is to tell the employer that yourself. You're usually going to have more sway in having that conversation and advocating for yourself anyway. That being said, like, please let us know, because we want to talk to you about how to best present that to the employer. Also, we want to know when these things are going on, so that we could in mass, in some cases, reach out to an employer and say, hey, this might be problematic in the future. You should probably think about moving it to a different day or time.
Yeah, because it is one thing when they're in our space and they're like, that's a little bit on us, right? Like, and we just had to be like, so you have to make a decision here. And we try and offer enough slots throughout the day that
if you have class at 10, hopefully there's a 2 p.m. slot.
There was always, we used to be able to, the trading, the time slot trading, and the bidding. Oh, it's all coming back to me, Natty. It's all coming back to me. Sometimes because employers are setting these things up themselves, if that employer had come to us and say, hey, we're going to do this big thing, we're going to do it over 2 days, Thursday and Friday, 9 to 5, we would have been like, this is a school, right? And we, probably would have tried to talk them out of doing that.
That's why lots of the info sessions and things end up being later in the day. But inevitably, like, there is no perfect time. If you look at the Penn class schedule, basically every minute is accounted for between like 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Yeah.
So it's really almost impossible to get something that's going to fit for absolutely everyone. So we do our best to try to either pick times that work well for as many people as possible, or at least offer as many alternatives, so that a student, if they can't make one thing, can make something else that's a little bit later for a different thing, and kind of balance it that way. But it can't be totally perfect. But we do want to have these conversations if you're faced with one of these difficult situations where you're not sure how to balance those two things. Academics come first, but we're happy to talk through, like, how can you actually navigate that to make sure you're still in good graces and a good place with the employer as well. They're not going to care that you asked. They're not going to think less of you. Many times
you may not get the answer you want, but they won't judge you for asking.
I think if anything, they'll probably respect that you're advocating for yourself and that you're taking your courses seriously.
Yeah.
But that's why we want to help you with that process, to be able to best, like, put your best foot forward for that.
All right, next topic.
All right. What do I have last? Oh, I don't have a lot of specifics to say about this, but it came up, and we used to see this long ago. I mean, it comes up every now and then.
You maybe have more flashbacks?
More flashbacks. One of our colleagues said that they're working with a student who is getting ready to sign for an upcoming internship over the summer, and that part of the application, or not the application, the
agreement.
Offer letter, the agreement, was a non-compete.
On an internship?
On an internship.
Well, Fascinating. Like post-internship non-compete? You don't know the details, but I mean, any sort of non-compete on an internship, that's very unusual.
It's very unusual. One, I have seen it before. I have seen companies do that, and I've talked to students about it. Like when we talk to students in this situation, we kind of treat it as you should absolutely reach out to the employer and say, I'm really excited about the opportunity. I wanted to talk to you about this non-compete portion of it. While I'm committed to work here, I don't know that I can fully abide by the demands of this if I might be searching for a job within the next year or 2 years. I think it's impossible for them to really expect you to lock yourself down and peak when you need to actually be finding jobs.
I think the discussion around non-competes in general has been like they're pretty non-enforceable.
It's really hard to.
And at the internship level, like the whole point, like part of what's built in to internship is exploration, and I mean, I would love to see the details not compete. So let's say I internship with you, and at the end you don't make me a return offer. Am I still bound by the non-compete?
I think technically it would be no.
Yeah.
Because they're not retaining you as talent within their organization that way.
Right.
That being said, like all of this is also kind of fuzzy legalese in some ways. I mean, we're not lawyers, so we can't give you legal advice fully for these things. When it gets really tricky, we see the wording.
We are not lawyers.
We probably never will be. Lorna might. Lorna might. But sometimes when it gets really wordy in that, we'll say you might want to follow up with legal counsel of some kind of variety of an employment counsel or something for yourself individually to take a look. But it's hard because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you don't think about it too much and then you just sign it. And then they give you a return offer, and then you end up leaving and going somewhere else, and they say, well, hey, you signed this, and that means you need to give us your signing bonus back or whatever it was they try to say.
Yeah.
I think all of this is so unlikely. I think most of the time what happens is companies just copy and paste over what they give to their full-time offers and say, oh, can you just sign this? This is what we have for everyone do, and they don't think a lot about it.
Exactly. And then you just bring it to their attention. They're like, oh, no.
Yes. But to be safe, you should bring it to their attention. Yeah. There's some places where you might even just like cross that portion of it out if you're able to like edit the document and like black a part out and then sign the rest of it and just let them know that, hey, the non-compete thing isn't something that I can agree to at this time. Is there any way that we can make sure that's left out, or I made sure that it's no longer included in what I signed?
Ask before you do that.
I would say ask first, but you bring it to their attention. You're not just going to do it, because what you wouldn't want to do is do it, not say anything.
Oh no!
And then be like, "Hey, you were fiddling around with this
for
stuff."
For sure.
Even if you were good intentioned about it.
It does make me think, and I think this was sort of on a national stage. One of the things that made people start going, "Wait a minute, what? These non-competes are getting out of hand." There was a popular sandwich shop chain on campus.
Okay.
That is no longer there, but had got into the news because they were making all their employees sign non-competes, saying they would not go and work for another place that sold sandwiches of any kind for like a period of a year or 2 years.
I mean, a lot of them are saying like 12 to 18 months or something like
that. Which, like, okay, common. And big, like the whole idea of a non-compete is that you can't like
take clients or trade secrets of some kind.
Take your institutional knowledge, poach other employees.
Yes. Take a whole team of people with you.
There's usually a no poaching agreement too. Like, I know my friend works in a tech company, and that's a big part of her contract. When somebody leaves, they're not allowed to take their team with them.
Yes.
Right?
But if you're working at a fast food restaurant and you go and work somewhere, you're not going to take
I'm making sandwiches at one place, and I'm like, oh, Wawa's going to offer me $5 more an hour. Like, there's no, like, sandwich making is a skill. It's a beautiful skill. It's an important skill.
Yeah, of course. It might be the most beautiful skill.
Right. You know when someone doesn't have that skill. But, like, it's not, like, the secrets of making a sandwich at one place are not so secret that you can't bring them to I know the special way to slice the bread.
Yes. And really the biggest thing is most of these are here to scare you. Like some states have very strict laws about them. It's really state by state too, which is another reason why it's really hard to offer exact feedback on what to do with these situations. But many times it's just there to make you either think twice, or for senior leadership that would do something like that, where they take a whole team or someone who is at a higher level that would have more involvement, that they would be able to take something away. Whereas as an intern or a part-time worker, you probably wouldn't be in that position to begin with.
All right. Is that the end of our grab bag?
Yeah, that's all the fun stuff we talked about yesterday.
I wasn't in the meeting, so this is a great catch-up.
Ketchup.
Sandwiches. All right. Well, I guess, unfortunately, that means there's no time to expose the truth about Dustin Miller. We'll have to save that for another episode.
Next time.
We'll bring him in. We'll put him in the hot seat and make him sweat. But I think an important takeaway here is these are things we're hearing. These are things we're hearing from students. So if you're experiencing any of these and you're feeling stressed about them, you're not alone. Come talk to us. If you are worried about early recruiting, if you're worried about your GRIP application, if somebody put a non-compete in front of you, come and talk to us about any of those things.
Yeah, we want to help. We want to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. So you're not alone. Your peers are going through it too, and we're here to help everybody. So, we can't wave a magic wand over any of this stuff, but we can hopefully get you on the right track, sort of empower you to take care of things for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was great. I love a grab bag episode. We're going to take a week off.
Oh, yeah. Gobble.
Lorna is so excited.
She took a week off last week.
But we've got Thanksgiving next week. We always record these on Wednesdays. We're going to be closing early on Wednesday, so we just said, let's not go crazy. Let's not make Lorna work over the Thanksgiving break, getting the episode together. So we will take a week off. We'll see you in 2 weeks on CS Radio. This podcast is produced by the University of Pennsylvania Career Services Office, a division of University Life. It was created by J. Michael DeAngelis and Amy Lynn Kirshner. Your hosts and producers are J. Michael DeAngelis and Natty Leach, and it's produced, mixed, and edited by Lorna Lynn. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at Penn Career Serve. We'll see you next time on CS Radio.